I'm amazed how many Long Islanders deeply appreciate country music. I always just assume Northeast Long Island areas, they're not country. That's not country, and I was wrong.
He is a Grammy-nominated Billboard Music Award winner for Top Country Song of 2022, 2022 CMT Artist of the Year honoree, and one of the coolest dads in all of country music. The proof's on his TikTok, and now heads to Long Island July 6th. He is Walker Hayes, and he joins News 12 right now. Walker, thank you for a few minutes this morning.
Oh man, thank y'all for hanging with me. I'm excited to chat with you.
I think we should just dive right into it. Some people might have heard Fancy Like, but maybe don't know a whole lot about you. Just start in late 2021 and walk us through a little bit about, you have a song like Fancy Like, it goes viral, it explodes. What is that moment, that career transforming moment like for you and your family?
It's a little bit of whiplash. I have 6 kids, and they're 8 to 18 now. And my wife and I, we've just been doing life, like any other family, just trying to make it, kind of check to check life. Love our kids, love our family. We're a strong family unit. We've always been tight. And chasing my dream was always enough. I love the fact that in this country you can try to write songs. You can wake up with a dream and chase it. So I don't take that for granted. So we were good, man, but all of a sudden we weren't just good. We were famous. That word, and people started calling us the famous family. We would be sitting outside somewhere eating, and someone would go, "Hey, y'all are that famous family." And it took us a while to get used to that, and just handle that and realize, and honestly, just be like, yeah, who we are, because of a song and dance, but we're not. We're just normal people, But it's, man, honestly, that song, the biggest blessing about that song is that I no longer have to travel without my family. They can go to every show I ever do. They pack up on the bus and stuff like that. But yeah, it will be a while till we are completely desensitized to what that song has done to us, because literally before that day, no one recognized us. No one. We were pretty just in the crowd, just a normal family walking by, and we still are. It's just people recognize us now because that song is everywhere. And it's funny you say that. My in-laws, they text me every time they hear it in Walmart still. It's funny. It's still anytime a friend hears it in a restaurant, or they see somebody karaoke the song or doing the dance at the ball field. I wonder how long that will last.
What in your few times here stands out to you about the Long Island country music community?
I guess as a guy from Alabama, who hasn't traveled much, I'm amazed how many Long Islanders deeply appreciate country music. I grew up in a southern community where you would think, all country all day long, all night, everything, but it's actually a pretty diverse, a lot of older traditional country is appreciated, but new country in Long Island is massive. And, people really get into it there. And also I noticed, like, I think all artists can agree with me when they say you go places where lyrics are appreciated, and in some places you play a show and you can feel that they just want the hits, they want the recognizable stuff. But I feel like in Long Island there's an appreciation for the depth, more of the deeper cuts, and that's awesome, for an artist to be able to sing some of the more obscure songs that maybe like you just wrote from the heart that you knew weren't going to be commercial. It's nice, to sing and see individuals out in the crowd, mouthing words to songs that you're not used to, that you're used to just playing those for the vibe, trying to fill a hole in a set list. But no, like I said, I just didn't travel that much growing up, and so I always just assumed Northeast, Long Island areas, they're not country. That's not country, and I was wrong. They relate to those things, and they come out for it, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think you're right on with it. We appreciate those stories, and at least coming from a country fan myself, I appreciate those stories. And I wanted to get into that a little bit and talk about your latest project, Sober Thoughts, and whether it's this EP or really any of your music, you can really feel the openness, the honesty of your life story that comes through your songwriting. And briefly walk me through kind of how Sober Thoughts came about and why you feel it's so important to be so honest and so real in your lyrics.
Yeah, man, thanks for asking. My projects, most of those adventures are driven by, my management and my team. And honestly, I have relinquished a lot of control to them, because I know that my gift is just writing them. I'm not necessarily the greatest person to put together a project or even decide which songs go out. I just write them, and I write a lot of them. And, I think my team noticed that I'm 8 years sober. And so, I think sobriety, I think if you talk to a lot of recovering addicts, recovering alcoholics, sobriety has phases. At first, you're almost high on the clarity. The sobriety is so new. You haven't felt what it's like to be a human being who's not intoxicated. And so there's that level. And now I think I'm entering, and I'm kind of, knee deep in a phase of, okay, well, what are my motives? What were my motives with drinking? What was I drinking to heal? That it wasn't, obviously, it wasn't a cure, but it was a Band-Aid. And then, and again, back to the, what are my motives? What have I turned into another coping mechanism? And I know this, honestly, I'm not like a really smart person. I just kind of do life, and I don't necessarily learn, that fast. But I've just noticed that a lot of what I did when I got sober was I traded one addiction for another, and then another, and then another, and hopefully they get healthier and healthier over time. But I think that's one way to describe Sober Thoughts, is kind of a compilation of those songs that are reflective about my struggle with addiction and my recovery. There are some songs that paint a picture of who I was right after I stopped drinking. There's some songs that paint a picture of, where my thoughts are now, as a recovering alcoholic, how I look at an alcoholic now, how I look at myself 8, 9, 10 years ago. So I think they just noticed the common trend of a few songs touching on that topic. And, I'm not a preacher. I just, my greatest, if I could list like one gift that God gave me, and I have a lot of imperfections, I have lots of flaws, but I do know that one gift I think he gives artists is there's just this compassion for a certain type of person, whatever it may be. And mine is a lonely person. My least favorite emotion is lonely. And, I know that in my recovery, that's how I felt a lot. Deep in my addiction was alone, because you get frowned upon, you kind of in denial, and you're in denial for a good reason. You don't want to be taboo. You don't want to be the outsider with the problem. You don't want to admit that weakness. And so I think a lot of people live kind of in secrecy when it comes to addiction. And that's a really dark place. So all of my songs aren't necessarily they're not to judge people. They're not 7 steps to sobriety. They're really just, I would hope they exist so that someone could say, oh man, I'm not by myself, in this, that Walker guy, I see he's happy with his family. That didn't just come overnight, and that's not every day. That's just the Instagram picture we see today. He's got some tough things to think about. So anyway, that's kind of my thought about the new project. And also I write a lot. I write a
Right.
lot with the intention of trying to help my kids. Can they listen to the song and go, oh, I can learn something from dad. That's really important to me. Is a lot of my songs, I think of them as like letters to my children, maybe when I'm gone, that they may not understand now, but when they're 40, they may crank them up and go, wow,
Yeah,
I'm dealing with this.
I kind of get goosebumps hearing you talking about that, because I think as just a listener, a lot of times, and a fan, you appreciate the song for what it is. You think the artist is just writing for the listener, but for it to be in that, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, thanks. I mean, writing has just, to me, that's what it's always been about. I mean, at times I can get lost in the fame and the shows and the socials and trying to keep up, with all that stuff. But me and a pen and paper and a guitar is a pretty pure place where I'm still able to really just compartmentalize my thoughts. It's almost like writing is like a very organic form of Adderall for me, and it just, it helps me be able to articulate the mess, that's going on inside me. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful that exists. That's really been helpful for my marriage. It's been helpful as a father. Because I'm not a great conversationalist, man. Just sitting
No,
with my
you're
kids.
you're doing a great job right now, and I appreciate it. But your story is so inspirational. I do want to shift gears a little bit now.
Yeah.
You're out on your headlining tour since late May, making a stop right here in our backyard, Farmingville, Long Island, July 6th. And now for Long Islanders who maybe might be a little bit less familiar with your shows and your music, what do you want them to know about you and the atmosphere or the experience that you want to create with your show?
I really I mean, it's pretty simple for me. I want everybody to leave and say, man, that was worth the price of admission. As a dad, I know just how much life costs, and I'm really aware of ticket prices and stuff. I mean, I'm thinking about that every day, when I'm taking my kids to dinner or wherever we go. And so I want everybody to think that it was worth it. I want to give them what their money paid for. And then, I think everybody usually leaves and goes, oh, he's just like me. He's just one of us. He's just him and his family. This just happens to be his job. God's given him the desire and the gift to write music. It's not necessarily one dimensional. You get a traditional song like AA, and then you turn around and we got rap hands up singing Black Sheep, rolling down the road with 412s in the back. So it's like, it's just kind of a science fair project of all music. The dancing, I think we're 7 or 8 shows in, and it's what's been stealing the show lately. The dancing, a couple of my daughters get up and sing. One of my daughters is one of the dancers. So everybody will see Leela. She's pretty famous at this point. She does a lot of the TikToks with me, but it's just a family affair, man. And but it's really honest, and the vast amount of emotions is pretty significant this year. There's hype. I mean, we're bouncing. There's cryo. There's compressed air getting shot everywhere and lasers, and then there's just really sweet, quieter moments where you can hear a pin drop. So a little bit of everything.
And as a guy with 2 left feet, any sort of dancing would impress me. But the level that you guys take it up to, it's just incredible. I've seen one of your shows before and can't wait for the 6th. But it also doesn't hurt when you have openers like Kylie Morgan and Tigirlily Gold joining you as well.
Yeah, man, they are. I've known Kylie since she was maybe 14, and I'll tell you what, both of those acts, again, as someone who is so just in awe of the writing process, I'm just kind of at the mercy of that. Both of those acts, they're 2 of the greatest writing, partners in the world. I mean, Kylie is a phenomenal writer. and she's just as good of a performer. And Tigirlily, their harmonies are nuts, but I mean, they're sisters. So there's this like chemistry on stage that you really can't duplicate. I'm a little bit jealous of it. I wish I had a brother up there on stage with me, that I could feed off, that I knew that well. But both opening acts are worth seeing in themselves.
And I actually went back and listened to the single you had with Kylie. Some people might not remember that, but honestly, just one of the most "we're all human" type of songs that I can
remember. Yeah, Cuss a Little. Yeah, I mean that was Kylie's idea, and I mean every line in that song is my favorite line. There's one line in there that says, "I don't care what people think, because that makes people think I'm cool," and I'm just like, oh. I mean, that's all of us at some point in our lives, But yeah, Kylie is one of those artists that she's not afraid to get vulnerable, and Tigirlily's the same. I mean, they go searching for greatness when they write, and I appreciate it. And I'm really excited. It's fun too to have openers that I've kind of done life with. I mean, I've known both of these acts prior to Fancy Like. I mean, we've been in the trenches together, so it's definitely a sweet moment to look side stage and see each other, rooting each other along.
It's like you go out with your actual family and you have these artists that are like an extension of your family too.
Yes, and it is. It is.
I want to talk about your family. Anyone who follows you knows how big of a family guy you are, and just a little bit of a late congratulations to you and Lainey celebrating 20 years of marriage.
Oh, thanks.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
And I hear you talk a lot about the passions that you try to share with your children, how you try to take something, whether it's outside of your comfort zone or not, and kind of do it to 110%. So you have that and create that bond with each of your children. Amazing in and of itself. But I kind of want to flip it around a little bit too. And as a father, what does it mean that your children also want to take the same interest in what you're doing and be a part of what you're doing, whether it's on stage or just hanging out on the road?
I mean, it's honestly, man, I mean, I'm a pretty emotional cat. I wasn't, and then I had kids, and all of a sudden a commercial can make me cry, But that question can really get me emotional, because I don't know. I didn't do the family thing on purpose. I didn't I'm not really a long-term thinker. And so it's not like I decided one day, hey, my dream is to have 6 kids and them like what I do and desire to be on the road with me. It's just kind of happened over time. COVID brought my family together, as it did many families, that spent a lot of time together. My family has been in the trenches together. They've watched me chase a dream as opposed to, work a job. They've watched me, like a kid, try to do something impossible, and I didn't do it by myself. I did it with a wife who was supportive, and obviously with kids who, they love watching me try. They love watching me fail. They love watching me succeed. They see life through a man's eyes with a crazy dream. And I'm so grateful. I asked them before each tour, I asked Leela, I say, please, Leela, don't cater to my feelings. Obviously, I want you on the road dancing with me, but I will be just fine. And I want you to pursue your own endeavors, so don't do me a favor, but I need to know, do you want to dance another season? And she said yes this year. So that was great. And I try to reiterate, please don't worry about me. I'm going to be okay. And I think when you watch someone like me chase a dream, when I'm your dad, I can only imagine you probably have a temptation to be careful with me, because a dream breaks you enough. They see it. They've seen it for 20 years here in Nashville. But man, they're so kind. They're so fun on the road. My 2 little girls love to sing on stage. My son, Chapel, he designed some of the merch. My son, Beckett, he's like an aspiring photographer. So he's everywhere with the camera. my son Baylor. He makes merch and sells it, so he's our little businessman. You know, watching him, you know, learn how to do that and kind of run that side of things. I mean, it's kind of awesome that I'm really grateful that they want to be out there with me, because I definitely don't want to drag them around, and I want them to have their own things. But man, I'm telling you, every night it is so special. There's always a moment where Leela and I make eye contact, and we're both thinking, this is crazy. This is crazy that we get to do this every night. It's kind of old hat, you know, for her and I to be sitting up there smiling. She's doing dances, I'm messing them up, and there's 5,000-10,000 people out there singing along, you know. And then you look stage left, and there's Chapel drawing a picture on the side of the stage, and Baylor listening to the drummer. You know, it's really, really special.
I think you have a very inspirational story. The fact that your family is involved with all aspects is just even cooler. And not to mention the music's awesome, and all of your performances are high energy, and it's just a lot of fun. So I hope everyone, first off, goes and gives a listen to your latest project, Sober Thoughts, available everywhere now. Go and blast Fancy Like for the millionth and first time anywhere. Yeah. And most importantly, I hope everyone comes out to see you, Kylie Morgan, and Tigirlily Gold on July 6th at Fest 2024. It's going to be a fun day at the Catholic Health Amphitheater at Bald Hill. Walker, any last thoughts before I let you get out of here?
No, man. Thank you for the wonderful questions. I've enjoyed hanging with you, man.
So anyone who wants tickets, anything that's still available, head on over to Ticketmaster.com. Otherwise, Walker, thank you so much for a few minutes this morning, and we'll see you on the 6th.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.